Here's a question for you. When is the last time that you heard of anyone in the medical profession curing something? Something is 100%, it's cured. We're done, we have cured this. No need for lifelong treatments or therapies or vaccines because there is a cure. You never hear of that. You hardly ever hear of it. And this came out just a few days ago, and there's a rant forthcoming. But I just wanted to show you this to kick it off, that there's a scientist down in Mexico now who has been studying photodynamic therapy for 2 decades and has come up with a technique to 100% cure human papillomavirus with a non-invasive photodynamic therapy. 100%. They've been able to completely eradicate it in all the patients tested. They've been able to completely eradicate it in all of the patients tested. 29 patients, 100% eradicating HPV in them. And also, she was able to eliminate pre-malignant lesions of cervical cancer in its first stages as well. So this is a very long way towards curing a type of cancer that can be pretty deadly once you get to a point of having that. But what do you want to bet, especially if you're listening to this in America right now, or one of your first world European nations where is propagandized upon us all the time that we need to have Gardasil. I've already gone over the fallacies of HPV vaccines. In fact, some of the very first articles I ever wrote for our website back in 2013 had to do with Gardasil victims being awarded millions of dollars for all the damage that it's done to them, and the fact that doctors were coming out in other countries testifying that there is no evidence that the vaccine protects against cervical cancer, which is the whole reason they tell everyone that you should take it. And I also covered when Japan banned it because of the adverse effects from it. So I'm not going to go over all of that. And that's not the main point of this video.
It's pretty much taken 2 years of my life away. I'm going to be 23 next week, and I feel like all my hopes and dreams have been ripped from me.
But I'm just going to point out that what do you want to bet? You're not ever going to ever hear of this, even though it's been done to hundreds of patients in Mexico. You personally will not hear about it because Merck makes too much money off of Gardasil to ever allow something like that to come out widely to the public, that it's an easy, non-invasive technique and just 100% cure people of that virus altogether. I mean, just last year, you're looking at now a chart of the revenue growth trajectory from the last few years of the Gardasil vaccine. Just last year alone, Merck made $3.15 billion off of it, okay? And it's now in China. So I'm just going to go ahead and guess that this is one of those things that's going to come out in a Mexican newspaper, and we're probably not ever going to really hear about it ever again because cures don't make money. Because I saw this other thing, and I've been trying really hard not to, and I really just can't help it. This actually came out last year, but somebody recently shared it, and when I read it, I cannot believe there are people who sit around and get paid by mega banks to write this kind of anti-human trash, okay? But that is what they do. And this is a Goldman Sachs analyst who was writing a biotech research report and said, is curing patients a sustainable business model? Because I guess they're just going to come right out and state what we all know is the obvious, considering what kind of rip things out of you and fill you full of poisons allopathic medicine system that we're all forced to be on and subjected to in this world. That's the main. I don't know if I've ever heard of anyone being able to buy homeopathic medicine insurance, especially not here in America where I live. I'm not sure that that's something that's available. However, the government did try through Obamacare for many years to force everyone onto the allopathic rip things out of you and fill you full of chemicals medicine system, which does not cure anything. It doesn't. And now you have Goldman Sachs analysts coming out in biotech research reports, and they're just straight out asking, is curing people a sustainable model? So this mentally syphilitic basement monster sits over there somewhere in a suit at a desk, and he writes things like this for money. That's what he does. And it's just so disgusting. It's so disgusting. But we're getting to a point in society now where we're going to have technologies that will be able to actually cure things. And they're not going to be able to continue forever to pretend like technology hasn't advanced to a point where that's possible. Because it has. And they've known this for many years. And we've done videos on scientists who found cures for cancer. He found specific frequencies could be used when matched up with specific pathogens in order to destroy them. And as he continued to isolate viruses and bacteria and locate their frequencies, he also claimed he discovered the virus responsible for cancer. 60 years ago, and were silenced and ostracized. There have been some that they think have been murdered over finding different cures for cancer. They want to bury that because it's not a sustainable business model, you see. So it says here, the potential to deliver one-shot cures is one of the most attractive aspects of gene therapy, genetically engineered cell therapies, and gene editing. However, such treatments offer a very different outlook with regard to recurring revenue versus chronic therapies. Said analyst Salveen Richter, well, thank you so much, sir. I'm sure you're super fun at dinner parties. While this proposition carries tremendous value for patients and society, it could represent a challenge for genome medicine developers who are looking for sustained cash flow. Because quite obviously, if you decide to become a genome medicine developer, you're not doing that because you actually give two about curing somebody. I'm sorry, excuse my language. You're not doing that because you actually want to help people, right? Pfft, no, everyone knows you're totally in it for the dough, right? I mean, this is... Then he goes on and cites Gilead Sciences' treatment for hepatitis C, which was able to achieve cure rates of 90% on hepatitis C. The sales for that peaked at $12.5 billion in 2015, but now they've been sadly falling ever since, and Goldman estimates that the sales for the treatments were just a paltry $4 billion last year, which is just, I'm so sad. That's $4 billion. I mean, that's like, what, chump change, right, to Goldman Sachs, I guess. It says, this is a case in point because the success of the hepatitis C franchise has gradually exhausted the available pool of treatable patients because they actually cured something. They actually cured many, many, many people. Then he goes on to say, in the case of infectious diseases such as hepatitis C, curing the existing patients also decreases the number of carriers able to transmit the virus to new patients. Thus, the incidence pool has also declined. It's like they're weeping over the fact that there's not enough infectious hepatitis C infected people to go around transmitting hepatitis C to other people so they can charge them to cure them. That's what that sounds like. And then he goes on to say, where an incident pool remains stable, such as in cancer, which is just so great, I guess, the potential for a cure, it poses less risk to the sustainability of the franchise, which is apparently the most important thing. Then he goes on, because he's not done yet, then he goes on to say there are solutions to this, such as addressing large markets like hemophilia, where there's going to be a lot of people who have that. Instead of things where it's not that many people, so who cares about those people? They're totally expendable. I mean, this is the kind of attitude that I just can't believe people still have it in 2019. We were supposed to be all progressive and enlightened, and we're such a modern human community, right? But you have human garbage dumpster fires like this man who write these reports and don't even seem to give a they don't care about someone else. They don't care. Apparently what they care about is money and things and not human beings, okay? Because we can't keep having this attitude like, well, too bad for you. You have a disease that not enough people have. You're not worth curing. I guess you deserve to just die. I mean, how can we call ourselves enlightened and all this whatever if our modern financial system, our modern medical system, and the way we approach and apply scientific discoveries is so utterly inhumane? So we should only address disorders that have high incidences because that's the only way to make money off of people's pain and suffering. Do you see? This is the kind of attitude that these people have. It's disgusting, you know? I mean, it's the same reason that The media will run around like chickens with their head cut off, freaking out because a few people got the measles, which, by the way, back in the day was not even considered that big of a deal until they had a vaccine they wanted to sell everybody for it. But they won't run around screaming and freaking out for the over 100,000 people who die every single year just taking FDA-approved pharmaceutical medications by the instructions on the bottle.
Swelling, trouble breathing, rash, hives, blisters, muscle pain with fever, tired feeling, or blurry vision.
Chest pain, shortness of breath, diarrhea, severe stomach pain or tenderness, severe nausea or vomiting, extreme fatigue, constipation, excessive thirst or urine, swollen ankles,
dizziness on standing, seizures, trouble swallowing, and impaired judgment or motor skills.
Rash, itching, headache, confusion, hallucinations, muscle or joint pain, flushing, fever, or weakness.
It may cause suicidal thoughts or actions. It may also cause bone loss.
Other risks are increased cholesterol, weight gain, decreased white blood cells, which can be serious.
It may cause abnormal liver tests.
Not overdosing or any of that, but actually what their doctor just told them to do, and it kills them, and you don't see anybody crying a river over that. You never see that in the freaking news or on TV, because what you see on TV is the news where they freak out about the measles, and then in the commercials, which pay ad revenue to be on that channel, they sell you all the medications.
Dizziness, sleepiness, weight gain, and swelling of hands, legs, and feet.
Swelling of your tongue or throat may occur and in rare cases may be fatal.
Risk of suicide may occur.
Don't use if you are or may be pregnant. It may change your periods, making it hard to know if you are pregnant.
Elderly dementia patients have an increased risk of death or stroke. Uncontrollable muscle movements, as these may be permanent.
Right? So, and the vaccines. It's like how as a human race can we continue on when we have mutant vampire leeches parasitically profiting off of human suffering and fear and the fear of suffering and not actually ever curing anything?
May cause serious rash or allergic reaction that may require hospitalization and be life-threatening.
And in extreme cases can lead to coma or death.
If you develop rash, hives, mouth sores, blisters, swelling, peeling, yellow skin or eyes, trouble swallowing or breathing, dark urine, or fever, get emergency help.
New or worsening depression or unusual changes in mood or behavior
Can cause your immune system to attack normal organs and tissues in your body and affect how they work. This may happen anytime during or after treatment has ended and may become serious and lead to death.
We can't keep making all this scientific progress and then also at the same time keep pretending like they're not actually finding cures for anything. So why don't you go get your stupid t-shirt with the doofy logo on it and run for the cure some more? Because they've been running for that cure for how many freaking decades? They buried the people that had the cure decades ago. And so I guess every year we'll just keep biking for the cure and running for the cure. And you can keep chasing the cure, but you're never going to catch it because the same foundations that want you to put that stupid t-shirt on and run around the block and give them money for that are the same ones who make money off there not being a cure. That's what justifies their existence to begin with. So why would they ever even want there to be a cure? They'd be out of a job. What are they going to cure themselves of a job? It doesn't even make sense. And then you have people like this at the top just sitting there just twisting in their own filth, can't wait to make money off someone else's suffering. They don't even care. It's sick.
Cough, chest pain, shortness of breath, diarrhea,
severe stomach pain or tenderness, nausea or vomiting, rapid heartbeat, increased hunger or thirst, constipation, dizziness or fainting, changes in urine, changes in eyesight, muscle pain or weakness, joint pain, rash.
These are not all the possible side effects of...
And like actual vampires, at the other end of the scientific medical spectrum, they're actually sucking off of our DNA data for the new gene technologies and therapies they're going to make with all these, like, find out where your heritage is from. Yeah, right. Like, they care if you know anything about that. And the body parts of our unborn aborted babies and even our blood in a bid for this engineered immortality that they're going to try and make with cures and treatments that I'm sure will only be afforded by the very, very rich elite people, who will all start to have much longer lifespans than the average person. I mean, you heard what Sean Parker said in the other video I did about how he's going to be like 160 because he's a billionaire and he's going to be part of a class of immortal overlords. Because this is not about maintaining humanity at the level we're at, because we're also being told all the time how we're overpopulated and most of us need to die, right? So you see what I'm saying? It's like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and Bram Stoker's Dracula mixed together and had like a mutant baby with the slick modern veneer of Silicon Valley repackaging. But again, as technology continues to advance and just keeps on advancing, because that's what it does, The medical establishment is going to have to start admitting that yes, they actually can cure things. Not just treat them with a bunch of recurrent chemicals, which are chemicals that can only mitigate some symptoms, usually while causing other symptoms that require even more prescriptions that also don't cure anything, which provides what this Goldman Sachs refers to as sustained cash flow and a sustainable franchise. Those are human beings he's talking about. And he just has apparently no ability to feel that whatsoever. So I just saw that, and you see those every once in a while in obscure magazines or in foreign newspapers that some doctor somewhere found a cure for something, or they did a research study and they found a really promising homeopathic thing that can do all kinds of stuff, but you never end up hearing or seeing that stuff ever again because it gets buried and probably passed around by rich elite billionaires at some retreat somewhere. It's not the kind of stuff they ever tell the rest of us about. And the rest of us get to be a statistic in a Goldman Sachs analyst report. You know, I don't know. My aunt died last Thanksgiving. And by the time she died, and she was only in her mid-50s, she was on 28 medicines. And one of them, and I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head right now, caused her bones to be so brittle that by the time she passed away, anytime she would trip, she would break something. Usually more than one bone. It was usually several bones. She would have fractures all over the place. She was kind of like Glass in that new movie by M. Night Shyamalan. The character played by Samuel L. Jackson, whose bones break all the time, was kind of like that. And she fell off the bed, and she just died. She fell off the bed and went into a coma and never woke up. And, at the end of the day, as her family, we don't even know if she died from the thing that was causing her to take all of those medications or the fact that they had her on so many freaking medications. They damn sure didn't ever cure her. She just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until she died. So we're left with a hole in our family because, that's what she had. She was a veteran's wife who had the kind of medical care that fills you full of poisons and doesn't cure anything. And they're not in it for cures. And it's pretty clear when they're coming out with analyst reports like this one, where they can just rub it all right into your face. It makes me want to I don't know. You can't scream and throw up at the same time, but ugh. I'm done. I'm sorry. I mean, just humanity. We're all humans. And how is this the system that we have in 2019? How are we still here like this with people like this running everything?